Hello and welcome back to English for You. I'm Seb.
And I'm Mike.
And we are talking about one of the world's great mysteries today.
Ooh, I like a good mystery.
Yes, me too.
What is it?
Ooh, well, actually, this one's a little surprising, actually. I didn't know about this mystery until I read this article, but it is very difficult to explain, and it will fill you with lots of questions.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, it is a giant eye.
A giant eye?
A giant eye in the desert.
Oh, in the desert.
Yes.
I was going to say like a whale has a giant eye or a giant squid has a... Wait,
the eye of Sauron.
The eye of Sauron from Lord of the Rings. But wait, this is a real eye in the desert?
Yes.
So it's not on an animal.
No, it's not on an animal.
Okay.
It's an eye-shaped thing.
Oh, I see.
In the desert. So it's not actually a looking eye. It's not moving around, focusing on things. It's an eye-shaped formation or a pattern on the ground in the desert. It's called the Earhart structure, and it's been a mystery to people for decades, for many, many years.
I like it.
So, are you ready to delve into some
I am.
mystery-shrouded goodness? Well,
absolutely.
Let's get started then.
Reading.
A mystery in the Sahara Desert. Do you like mysteries? Well, the Eye of the Sahara, or formerly the Earhart structure, has been a mystery to people for decades. Though this puzzling bullseye is quite large, we only discovered it after we sent humans into space. The Eye of the Sahara is in the Western Sahara Desert. It's about 40 kilometers across, and it looks like a huge stone bullseye. The eye is such a large structure that it's used as a marker for astronauts going around Earth. At first, everyone thought these huge rings of rock were made by an asteroid that crashed into the desert. But after years of study, scientists have concluded they formed naturally over 100 million years ago. A leading theory of how the eye was formed is about the Supercontinent Pangea. When it broke up and gave way to the Atlantic Ocean, it formed the beginning of the eye. Inside the eye lie many types of rocks that are usually found deep inside Earth. That makes it a very exciting place for scientists to study.
Okay, so our article starts with a great question, a question I think we all have the same answer to. Do you like mysteries?
I do.
Yeah, of course. We all like mysteries because a mystery is a big question about the world or about a thing that no one can answer or that we don't know the answer to. How did the universe begin, for example? That's a mystery. We don't know exactly what happened when the universe began. We have some ideas, some theories, but we don't know the exact thing that happened. So we call it a mystery. Our example sentence for this word is, are people still interested in the mystery of the Loch Ness Monster?
Oh, yeah.
I certainly was when I was a kid. I was very interested in that mystery. Another mystery I've always been interested in was the mystery of Amelia Earhart.
Oh, yes, that's a good one, too.
Amelia was a famous pilot, the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. So she was in all the newspapers. She was making the headlines in the 1920s. But then one day she was trying to do another mission. She was trying to fly her plane around the world, I think it was, when it disappeared. She disappeared over the ocean. No one ever found her plane. Nobody ever found out what happened to her. She just never appeared again. What happened to Amelia is a mystery. And next in the article we read, well, the Eye of the Sahara, or formerly the Earhart structure, has been a mystery to people for decades.
Very, very interesting. So this is the name of it, the Earhart structure. It's actually popularly known as the Eye of the Sahara. So it kind of has two names, one a bit more scientific and one a bit more, something you might just find
mysterious.
Popular books or mysterious stories calling it. But it's been formally known as the Earhart structure. That's the official name. When we say formally, that's kind of in an official, in an important, in a way that people studying it as scientists or something, they might call it that. People like you and I might call it the Eye of the Sahara, but a scientist who's studying it in a university or writing a book about it might refer to it as the Earhart structure. So something formally is done with some kind of, important status, maybe by the government or by scientists or something like that. For example, we could say Melanie received a letter in the mail formally inviting her to have lunch with the president. Wow.
That would be a formal invitation.
A formal invitation.
You wouldn't say, sup, do you want to come?
Hey, what's up? It's Tsai Ing-wen. You wanna hang out and have some food?
So this Eye of the Sahara, a lot of people are very interested in this, but they haven't actually been interested in it for a very, very long time. The article says, though this puzzling bullseye is quite large, we only discovered it after we sent humans into space.
Oh, really?
That's probably because it's so big, you can't see it if you're on the ground. I see. So puzzling, that is our next vocab word. Something that is puzzling is something that is difficult to understand and figure out. If you have a puzzling piece of homework, you aren't going to finish it very quickly because it's going to be very challenging, very difficult. You're going to have to think a lot about it. It's probably going to confuse you. One of the reasons we describe confusing things as puzzling is because we get this word from the noun puzzle. And a puzzle is a game in which you have to solve a difficult problem in order to complete it. Jigsaw puzzles, for example, are pictures that are broken up into lots of tiny pieces. Here's an example sentence for puzzling. What are those puzzling noises coming from the kitchen? Sounds like a bit of a mystery. We also have the word bullseye here. Bullseye is a noun. And have you ever played darts, Mike?
I have, very rarely, but yes, I've played darts.
So you'll know what a bullseye is,
That's the center of the target, the center of the board that you're shooting a dart or an arrow, right? If you're shooting an arrow, if you're doing archery.
Exactly.
You're trying to hit the bullseye.
That kind of circly board, the target that we throw things at, it's that little dot in the middle that we get the most points for hitting. We're not talking about a real bullseye, though. There's no real bullseye out there in the desert. We're talking about something that's shaped like a bullseye. So we can imagine it's probably a circle inside of another circle. And that's probably why people call it an eye, too. They look quite similar.
That's right.
Okay, so where is this Eye of the Sahara?
Well, we've learned that it's in the Sahara, of course, by the name, but where exactly? The Eye of the Sahara is in the western Sahara Desert. Okay, so this would be over on the western side of Africa, closer to the Atlantic Ocean and further away from Egypt and places like that. So close to Morocco or Algeria, Tunisia, those countries over there.
That area, yes. It's about 40 kilometers across, and it looks like a huge stone bullseye.
Interesting.
Wow. 40 kilometers. That's why people didn't know what it looks like. You can't see 40 kilometers.
No.
You can only see something that big if you're standing very far away from it, very high up in the air.
Exactly.
I wonder if you can see it from a plane.
Well, if your plane was almost on the edge of space, you could, but most planes can't fly that high. So it says the eye is such a large structure that it's used as a marker for astronauts going around Earth. So yes, you'd need a very special plane, in fact, a spaceship, in order to see the Eye of the Sahara. I think most planes fly around 8 kilometers above the Earth, so that's not big enough. That's not far enough away. You'd need to be maybe 100 kilometers away from the Earth, up on the International Space Station. station or something like that. And that is the type of person who will be able to see the eye of the Sahara. Astronauts, people who go in space, are astronauts. And in fact, they do use it. They use it as a marker for going around the Earth. If you look out of the window of a space station or a spaceship and you see this bullseye structure going, slowly below you, hey, okay, we're over Africa. So we're on our way across we finished crossing the Atlantic Ocean. We're heading towards Asia right now, but Africa is right below us. A marker is something that is used as a mark. It's used to sort of point to something or as a place of reference or something like that. That's a marker true. I know. Now I know I'm 2 streets away or 2 blocks away or something like that.
Zhongshan Fuxing metro station.
Exactly.
But the astronauts are using it while they are going around Earth, aren't they?
Exactly.
And basically what that means is they're traveling around it, they're spinning around it or revolving around it. So imagine your science class now when you're talking about the planets moving around the sun. When you've got the Earth going around the sun, it is spinning or it's revolving around the sun.
Exactly.
We could also say for planets that it is orbiting the sun.
Right.
Okay, so people have had lots of different theories about where this structure came from. So the article says, at first, in the beginning, everyone thought these huge rings of rock were made by an asteroid that crashed into the desert. Okay, an asteroid.
A giant rock flying through space. That's basically what an asteroid is. It's probably a part of a planet that broke off millions of years ago, and it flies around in space. And sometimes they come down onto the Earth. They often burn up. They usually burn up in the atmosphere. But occasionally, if one is big enough and traveling fast enough at the right angle, it will smash into the Earth and terrible, terrible things will happen.
So an asteroid crashed into the desert, or that's what they think. When one thing crashes into another, it hits the other thing very, very hard so that it breaks or the other thing breaks, or both of them break. Think about a traffic accident when 2 cars crash into each other. We could call that a car crash, actually. Both cars are really damaged or they are destroyed. We can also call this a car crash or a collision as well. Both of these are nouns.
Right.
Okay, let's look at an example sentence now. Right after the baseball crashed through the window, all of the other kids looked at Dylan.
Dylan.
Ooh, did Dylan throw the ball?
I think he was the one who sent that ball crashing through the window. You can also say that too. All right, so there you go. So it could have been an asteroid that crashed into the Earth like the one that killed the dinosaurs. But, and this is important, but after years of study, scientists have concluded they formed naturally over 100 million years ago. Okay. Well, I guess an asteroid crashing into the Earth is kind of natural. It's part of nature, but it's not something that happens on the Earth because of things that normally happen on the Earth. That's kind of what we mean here by happening naturally. And it happened just because of the Earth, because of what the Earth does. So we're not looking at asteroids. Here we're kind of looking more at volcanoes and earthquakes and those types of things that start and happen here on the Earth and don't require giant rocks from space.
Fly into us.
Yeah.
So a leading theory of how the eye was formed is about the supercontinent Pangea. Okay, so we're talking about a leading theory. When we describe something as leading, we mean that it is the most popular thing or the main idea. So we're not saying that this is the only theory or this is the truth, but this is what scientists think probably happened.
Their best bet.
Their best bet, their best guess.
Right.
So, but it isn't just a guess, it's a theory,
That's
isn't
right.
it?
Yeah. A theory is something that scientists have before they have facts. So a theory is basically based on looking at the world, putting together what they know and going, I think And that is the theory. They don't just pull it out of the air. It's not a guess. It's based on all the evidence they have at the time. Now what happens is they start to do tests. They start to do experiments. They start to test the theory. And once they test it enough, and then a bunch of other scientists in other places in the world test it again in the same way and come up with the same answers, then we have facts. Then we have proof. Then we have evidence, and a theory becomes a fact. For example, the scientist did some experiments to test her theory.
She did some experiments to test her theory, and their theory is about the supercontinent Pangea. So a supercontinent is an enormous continent. It's a huge continent. There are no supercontinents on the Earth right now. We just have continents. So Asia, Europe, Africa, these are normally considered continents, depending on what definition you use. But once, a long time ago, scientists believe that all of these continents were together in one big lump, one huge continent called Pangea, and it was a supercontinent. It was huge. So imagine how big that would be if all of the Americas, Asia, Europe, India, and Australia were all connected into one massive area. That would be enormous.
You can see how the edge of Brazil fits neatly into the edge of West Africa.
It does.
That was all Pangea before.
And camels and llamas look a lot like each other because they were all living in that area.
Exactly.
Anyway, the article says when Pangea broke up and gave way to the Atlantic Ocean, it formed the beginning of the eye.
Wow.
I see. So break up, that means to end a relationship, right? That's when you break up with your girlfriend.
Yeah, that could be to break up, but that's talking about something you can't really see or touch, a relationship. In a more real way, if you take a piece of bread, a big loaf of bread, and rip it to pieces with your hands to give a little bit of bread to everyone, you are breaking up that piece of bread. When you cut the pizza and take a piece each, or cut the cake and take a piece each, in some way you're breaking up that cake to make pieces of cake or something like that. So basically you're taking something big and cutting, dividing, ripping, tearing, breaking parts off of it to make smaller pieces. So that is to break up something. And to give way to something, well, here we're using give way to talk about being replaced by something. There was a thing there before. A was there before, but because of some reason, we have to change A, and B is now in its place. So A gives way to B. After an election, one president might give way to another president, or one party might give way to another party. Or, in sports, every year, one champion team gives way to the new champion team. So they had the position, and then there was a change, and now someone else takes that same place or position.
So inside the eye lie many types of rocks that are usually found deep inside the Earth. Okay.
So the Earth burped.
The Earth, basically, Earth burped up some rocks. Okay, we've got our grammar point here in this sentence. Inside the eye lie many types of rocks. Okay, so this is basically what we call an inverted prepositional clause. That's a lot of long words, but basically, we use inverted prepositional clauses to place emphasis on where something is happening or where something is by moving the words in the sentence around and placing the preposition at the beginning of the sentence. So look at these two examples. There is a hungry tiger in my closet. In my closet is a hungry tiger. Which sentence makes it more obvious where the tiger is? It's the second one, right? Because the preposition and location come first. We know exactly where that tiger is. It is hiding in my closet. To make an inverted prepositional clause, we first need an ordinary prepositional sentence. So that's one with a subject, a to-be verb normally, and a location. So, for example, Janet's house is at the end of the street. We then take the location or the preposition and move it to the front of the sentence, follow it with the verb, and finally add the subject. So our sentence becomes, at the end of the street is Janet's house. Let's look at another. There is a large gorilla population in East Africa. Can you guess how we would change this one?
In East Africa, there is a large gorilla population?
That is right.
Yay!
In East Africa, there is a large gorilla population. We can actually use other verbs other than is. So lie or stand are two other verbs that we could use. But they have to be verbs which are about where something is. They have to be location verbs. At this point, I think you can just practice with the verb to be. Okay, well, we still have another sentence, don't we?
Absolutely. So the Eye of the Sahara, it says, that makes it a very exciting place for scientists to study. Absolutely. Especially if you're a geologist, one of those rock scientists or an earth scientist who's fascinated with, earthquakes and volcanoes, like
rock
we
facts.
said. Yeah, rock facts, exactly. So finding a place where normally you'd have to go hundreds of miles into the earth where you can't go, but finding a place like that where the rocks are right there underneath your feet, that would be a very exciting thing. So there you go. If you're a geologist, book your ticket to West Africa. Go and check it out. If you want to see it, well, book your ticket on the next space station trip or become an astronaut
SpaceX,
or maybe get
Call
millions of
Elon
dollars
Musk.
and give it to Elon Musk to fly over the Eye of the Sahara. But also, I think the simpler way, Google it.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
Yes, it is pretty cool. Okay, we've got just enough time for a For You Chat question, so don't go anywhere.
For You Chat.
Okay, so our question for today is, can you think of any other huge natural sites in the world? What are they, and how would you describe them?
Wow, that's tough. Because we just talked about one that's 40 kilometers across and you can only see it from space.
Can you think of a bigger one, though?
The Pacific Ocean?
That would probably be the biggest natural site in the world.
Yeah.
Because it is the biggest ocean in the world.
A blue whale, but you can't see that from space.
That's not 40 kilometers
big.
across,
No,
though.
it's still big. Mount Everest, the tallest mountain. But actually, when you look at Mount Everest, it's next to a bunch of other tall mountains.
So
it's
it just looks
slightly
like another
taller.
mountain.
So,
Yes.
I guess Niagara Falls,
Yes.
but in the U.S.-Canada border. Every time I see it, I only had the chance to go there once, but even if you see it in movies and pictures, you go there and you're like, wow, this is really big. So, it's not 40 kilometers across, but it's still very impressive in real life.
It's still huge.
Yeah.
Yes. So those are some good examples of massive natural sites. Oh, the Mariner's Trench. I'm not sure if you can see that one from space. Can you see it from space?
No, it's way deep.
It's way deep, but it is a huge natural
Or
site.
the Great Barrier Reef. I think you can see that
true.
from
Yes,
space.
that's bigger than 40 kilometers,
going down
think.
the northeastern coast of Australia.
So you guys can discuss some that you might know, some other natural sites, or look up the ones that we just mentioned and think about how you would describe them. We'll leave you to that, and we'll join you soon with more exciting articles. For English for You, I'm Seb.
And I'm Mike.
And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Take care.
A mystery in the Sahara Desert. Do you like mysteries? Well, the Eye of the Sahara, or formerly the Richat structure, has been a mystery to people for decades. Though this puzzling bullseye is quite large, we only discovered it after we sent humans into space. The Eye of the Sahara is in the Western Sahara Desert. It's about 40 kilometers across, and it looks like a huge stone bullseye. The eye is such a large structure that it's used as a marker for astronauts going around Earth. At first, everyone thought these huge rings of rock were made by an asteroid that crashed into the desert. But after years of study, scientists have concluded they formed naturally over 100 million years ago. A leading theory of how the eye was formed is about the supercontinent Pangea. When it broke up and gave way to the Atlantic Ocean, it formed the beginning of the eye. Inside the eye lie many types of rocks that are usually found deep inside Earth. That makes it a very exciting place for scientists to study.
Vocabulary Review.
Mystery. Nobody knows how all the people in the town disappeared. It's a mystery. Formally. The president formally addressed the nation on television last night. Puzzling. The puzzling math problem gave most of the students a lot of trouble. Marker. If we follow these trail markers, we'll find the path to the river. Crash. The race car driver crashed into the wall and he got seriously hurt. Theory. That theory about why all the animals disappeared from the island has yet to be proven.
智慧小补帖
Bullseye. Astronaut. Asteroid. Supercontinent.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net